My message that I'd like to convey today is that the period we're in now is a particularly special time. The President and others have said it, that the U.S. Korea relationship is stronger than ever. And that is very true. What's going on now is a culmination of efforts for a lot of years, but it's truly brought us into a unique period. Again, not going into much detail on the war, but I do think that because many Americans' first experience with Korea was through the prism of the war and through thinking about North Korea, there's an extent to which our alliance has been defined by sort of in opposition to the North. That the U.S.-ROK relationship is something that has to do with just defending against the North. And when it first began, that was absolutely true. But over time, it's evolved into something that's much, much greater than that, much deeper than that, and more comprehensive. And that's something that I think has not been fully captured in a lot of the media reporting recently, which basically addresses the North Korea issue, which is, of course, an important issue of our time and something that deserves a lot of attention. But I think the growth of the ROK and the growth of our relationship is something that's easily lost because it's been more incremental. I would advocate now that if North Korea, for some reason, didn't exist and South Korea was an island floating in the Pacific, that the U.S.-ROK relationship would be one of our most important in the world, bar none. And I'll talk about some of the ways in which that is true. But we have gone from a relationship that was essentially in opposition to North Korea to now a comprehensive relationship of equals, working as partners all around the world to address common problems. Okay, it all begins with shared values. A lot of times we get questions about, well, yeah, Korea is important, but what about China? Isn't China the big player? Like, why is the United States even focusing on Korea? And the reverse question is a fair one. Korea, should they really be worried about America? Isn't America yesterday's news? China's the big player. Why does it matter? Well, it matters because of shared values. We fundamentally share these commitments to these issues, to free market economy, to common global security interests, to democratic politics and human rights, that not all countries do. And that's the basis for our cooperation, and it's something that makes our relationship special. And I have the picture on here not just to have a cheesy photo op, but for those of you that don't know, our two presidents have a very close personal relationship. President Obama actually departs this weekend to go to Seoul to attend the Nuclear Security Summit that's being held hosted by the Koreans in Seoul. It's the second Nuclear Security Summit. We hosted the first. And that will be his third trip to Korea in basically 3 years. Third trip in his first term, which will be precedent-setting. No American president in history has ever visited Korea 3 times in a single term. It will also be their 7th sit-down summit meeting. That's also a record. No U.S. president has ever met his Korean counterpart 7 times in a single term. So, yeah, it's not just talk, it's not just them taking photo ops. They really do actually have a very strong personal relationship that makes a difference in the way the two countries cooperate. And we talked about it earlier this morning, but you compare that with, say, the relationship with Japan, where the U.S. president has had to deal with multiple different counterparts over the past years, and that does make cooperation more difficult. So from the very top, we have this strong personal relationship that has really helped take our two countries to a new level. Okay, talk a bit about the economic partnership. And again, I won't take all of Mr. Lee's thunder here, but just to say, just a quick chart to show, the truly explosive growth in the Korean economy. It's been called a miracle. It's been called a lot of different things, but it is truly a fantastic economic story. Korea is a country, one of the few countries that can say they went from a situation of being an aid donor, an aid recipient, to being an aid donor. They're a country that received U.S. aid. They're a country that hosted U.S. Peace Corps volunteers, and now they're giving aid internationally, cooperating with us to do that. They're the ones who are setting up their own Peace Corps equivalent and helping other countries to follow their path. So it's a tremendous story, and the U.S. Obviously has a lot to gain from it. A bit about the economic disparity. Obviously, South Korea has made certain choices, and the North has made very different choices with pretty dramatic results. I think this story is pretty well known, so I won't go into it. But obviously, the North has suffered from its economic choices. It's tried to do some tentative reforms recently. They have not been successful, and so as a result, you have something like this, a pretty dramatic demonstration of the economic vitality that's going on in the South and the lack of that in the North. And you can even see, compared to the sort of fairly sparsely populated Chinese frontier region, the North is visibly dark. So, security partnership is what it comes to mind for many folks when they think about the U.S. ROK alliance and the partnership, because it really was security and the aftermath of the Korean War that led to our alliance, our initial partnership. But then, after the Cold War era, where Korea had value and importance to the United States simply because it was a bulwark against the communist North, in the last 20 years or so, really the partnership has had to be reinvented, and that has happened. And a big part of that is because of not something the U.S. has done, but it's been because of Korean leadership. Korea, particularly under President Lee Myung-bak, has decided to pursue a global Korea strategy, where they have decided that they have the economic wherewithal and the political will to want to contribute to solving problems all over the world. That they're not just going to be a marginal player on the side or a free rider, if you will, but rather actually take leadership and get involved in the tough issues of the day. Things like economic development, like counter-proliferation, counter-piracy, environmental issues, all of the things that the United States struggles with. We need partners in that. And the ROK has stepped up, particularly over the last 5 to 10 years, to do that with us.